On August 16, 2023, Genshin Impact 4.0 was released. We got to see a lot of new things in Fontaine's region updates. We got the Hydro Dragon Sovereign, Aqua 2.0, Taylor Sniff, Mr. Worldwide Return, and a lot more interesting stuff to be talked about. But of all of those things, seems like there's one topic that a lot of people didn't really talk about. And no, not why this guy got buried in the sand, but the Melusine. Wait, before you click away just yet, listen to me. Because we're not gonna talk about normal Melusines. It's a rare case. It's none but... not Sijuan. Well, she's unique, but it's not her. In only one short quest, this rare fella just dropped another question to the table. And might also be a hint for Genshin's future story and quest. Who is it?
Let me explain.
In Genshin Impact version 4.2, we got a new map expansion that brought another interesting lore for us to talk about. One of them is in Erinnyes Forest. In the New World quest, the Wild Fairy of Erinnyes, we met this new NPC. Well, she looked like a Melusine from any angle, and she introduced herself as Pahsiv. What's funny, she's slightly different than the rest of the Melusines we saw in game. Unlike Mamere, Sijuan, or any other Melusine that can communicate with perfect human language, Pahsiv cannot do that. Seems like she cannot speak human language fluently, and trying to communicate with broken words that seems like she have to memorize with great effort, which is Pahsiv means yes, and Melusines means no. She said she learned human language from a visitor. And now, we got a few things to be answered. First one, who is Pahsiv? Second, who is this visitor she always mentioned? And third, why I said she could be related to the future story. So to start with, Pahsiv is not a Melusine. Even though she looked exactly like one, but we got more hints that she is not. How? The first time we met Pahsiv is in the Erinnyes area, around the mysterious altar. But if you realize, most Melusines, or maybe all of them, are not allowed to go to this area. How so? It actually said on the Aqua Bus conversation. At the end of the ride when you take the Navia line Aqua Bus, Elfane advises about not to go to the Erinnyes depth, as Neuvillette suggested them not to. Elfane mentioned she do not know what's the reason behind this, but I believe they won't ignore what Neuvillette said. On top of that, Pahsiv said she doesn't know about the Melusine's hometown, the Melusine village, and says that Erinnyes area is her home. How though? That's exactly the polar opposite of what Neuvillette, the savior of Melusines, told them to do. It's simple, because she is not a Melusine. Well, some of us might already notice this, but for some of you who don't, Pahsiv names backwards is actually VISHAP. Surprising? Yeah, but that is not everything. If you remember, in Enkanomiya Quest, Angel told us something about VISHAPs.
The Baptismal Vishaps are a highly intelligent and fast-evolving kind. They imitated the victors. Eventually, this gave rise to a line of Vishaps who were indistinguishable from humans except for their pupils. These were the VISHAP-PEOPLE.
Passive pupils are the only things that is different than a normal Melusines. Those clues itself already proven that she is a Vishap, or to be more exact, a Vishap that already evolved. So it is natural that he doesn't know about the Melusine village. I mean, they look exactly the same no matter how you look at it. But one question that remains as a mystery is, instead of a human form, why Pahsiv in Melusine's form? Did the Melusine once defeated a Vishaps? Moreover, the way how she used Pahsiv as yes and Melusine as no just kinda wrapped this topic. I mean, are you a Pahsiv? Yes. Are you a Melusine? No. You get it? But then, who is this visitor she always mentioned? During the quest, Pahsiv mentioned someone called as Purple Thing. We're not sure what she meant by that. It could be referring to this Bishop since he said Purple Thing is bad and Blue Thing is good. Or it could be Jacob, since he turned into this purple thing. If it's really referring to Jacob, so the visitor must be someone from Narcissus Cruise Institute, no? Well, I'm afraid it is not. In this scene, Pahsiv told us the real name of the visitor is actually the visitor, which just doesn't make any sense. I mean, we got Pain, we got Mora Grover, even Hypermarket, but the visitor is just too weird. Until you realize Genshin Impact is actually a Chinese game. What I mean by that? Well, it is none but language barrier. During this Fontaine scene, Pahsiv told us the visitor have a lot of information. The way the visitor obtained those information is by tasting the water under the erinnyes area. And yeah, I think you already know who's the visitor here. It's none but the artist of the
oratrice mécanique d'analyse cardinale.
Yeah, it's Neuvillette. You don't believe me? Well, here's another proof then. From what I mean by language barrier is this. This is what Pahsiv called the visitor in Chinese. And this is Neuvillette's name in Chinese. If we play it on Google Translate, Neuvillette's name will sound like this.
纳维莱特，纳维莱特，纳维莱特，
While the visitor will sound like
纳维莱克，纳维莱克。
So yeah, Pahsiv just misheard about Neuvillette's name. I mean, she barely talked human language, so learning to remember and pronouncing a new word must be hard for her. On top of that, on Neuvillette's character story 3, he positioned Melusine as the finest example of new sort of Hydra VISHAP species. Maybe that's also one of the reasons why he told Melusine not to go to the erinnyes area, so the Melusine won't see the VISHAPs. But why though? And lastly, why Pahsiv or her kind might be related to Genshin's future story is because of the VISHAP-PEOPLE that Angel talked about before. And it might also relate it to Neuvillette's statement that said Natlan will be a nation of dragons. He also stated in Natlan, dragons have undergone long years of development and evolutions, which is aligned with what Angel said about VISHAP's people. Well, we don't know what kind of dragons Natlan will have later on. Maybe like a dragon? Or a human dragon, like VISHAP's people. But I'm pretty sure we will see more VISHAP after we got into Natlan's arc. To close this discussion, if you enjoyed this video, please support this channel by liking this video and subscribe to help us reach 60k by the end of 2023. Please, I beg you. So that's all for today. Wish you have a great weekend and thanks for watching.